The US has taken the rare step of declassifying missile remnants and putting them on public display to back its claim that Iran was behind a recent missile strike into Saudi Arabia. The US ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, says Iran is supplying weapons to Shiite rebels in Yemen who've been fighting the US-backed Saudi forces since 2015. Iran has dismissed the accusations as a fabrication and accused the US of provocation. Ann Barker reports.
That's the sound of a ballistic missile that Yemeni TV accused Houthi rebels of launching last month into Saudi Arabia, targeting the main civilian airport in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. Saudi defence forces intercepted the missile before it could hit its target, but missile fragments landed in the airport area and were later handed to the US. Now, US officials have displayed the remnants to media at a military base in Washington, and they say they're indisputably from an Iranian-made short-range missile.
These weapons were supplied by the Iranian regime. The evidence is undeniable. The weapons might as well have had "Made in Iran" stickers all over it.
Nikki Haley, the US ambassador to the United Nations, says the missile fragments show Iran is supplying weapons to Houthi rebels in Yemen in breach of international law.
The Iranian Guillaume missile is the only known short-range ballistic missile in the world that lacks such stabilizer fins and includes 9 valves that you will see running along the length of the missile. Those valves are essentially Iranian missile fingerprints. It was made in Iran, then sent to Houthi militants in Yemen.
Ambassador Haley says the US took the extraordinary step of declassifying the weapons in the interests of international transparency and cooperation. She says they're proof that Tehran is blatantly ignoring the 2015 nuclear deal with Western powers that bans it from launching such missiles.
Everyone has focused on the nuclear deal, and Iran has hidden behind the nuclear deal, constantly threatening to get out of it. But these are the things they're doing while we're all looking the other way.
Iran rejects the US allegations as unfounded and says the fragments on display are fabricated. Iran's own mission to the United Nations in a statement says the US accusations are irresponsible and destructive.
These accusations seek also to cover up for the Saudi war crimes in Yemen with US complicity and divert international and regional attention from the stalemate war of aggression against the Yemenis.
A Saudi coalition backed by the US has been at war with the Houthis for nearly 3 years since they overthrew the government in Yemen. Iran doesn't deny backing the rebels but denies it's supplying arms and says last month's missile launch was an independent action by the Houthis in response to Saudi-led aggression. The US President Donald Trump has pledged a much harder line against Iran, and Ambassador Haley says the US will now rally other nations to push back against Tehran.
Its ballistic missiles and advanced weapons are turning up in war zones across the region. It's hard to find a conflict or a terrorist group in the Middle East that does not have Iran's fingerprints all over it.
Saudi-led forces have intensified airstrikes against the Houthis since last week when the rebels killed Yemen's former president Ali Abdullah Saleh. On Wednesday, Saudi airstrikes hit a police camp in the rebel-held capital, killing at least 35 people.
Ann Barker reporting.